Hello and welcome to the second installment of History Minute
with Dr. Tree.
and Reginald Drew Peacock.
This video is brought to you by
Capital
Connections.
In the beginning, Canada had an open-door immigration system where people could enter and leave as they wished. This caused some organizations to be upset.
This caused an influx of workers coming into Canada, which supplies with a lot of monies.
Bands that make her dance.
Chinese immigrants comprised the largest group of Asians in BC at this time.
This was due to the Caribou Gold Rush and the construction of the CPR, which brought a lot of workers from China to Canada.
The more you know. Most of the Chinese immigrants lived in isolated Chinatowns in Vancouver, Victoria, Nanaimo, and New Westminster.
At the same time, many immigrants were working in the salmon canneries. This provided them with a steady source of income. Anti-immigration groups made many attempts to restrict immigration and Chinese rights. At one point, they tried to force Governor James Dunmere to sign a policy to exclude Japanese immigrants from entering Canada. How atrocious is that? When he refused to sign, rioting broke out and outraged demonstrators destroyed most of Chinatown. Can you believe it?
I certainly cannot. When CPR agents in Hong Kong started inviting Sikhs to immigrate to Canada, it was very hard to refuse them entrance, because they were already citizens. Because Britain had colonized their land, it had given them full rights to immigrate to British North America.
Canada tried to resolve the immigration problem by saying that you'd only come to Canada by direct route, such as if you were leaving from a British country, you could not come to a foreign country and then to Canada. You would have to go from British colony to Canada. This problem was resolved in 1914 by a Sikh man who chartered a boat of 354 Indians. Now, you may mean we're saying First Nations rudely, but we actually do mean Indians. Quite funny. From Hong Kong, and when it arrived in Canada, it was actually turned back and was sent all the way back to Hong Kong. Now we'll talk about women's suffrage. Back for more, I see. Here I am, Dr. Tree, and my esteemed and noble colleague,
Dr. Drew Peacock.
we will be talking to you about women's suffrage. Off to you, my friend.
Thank you. When Laurier was elected in 1896, only male property owners could vote. This left many of the females, Native Canadians, and immigrants of Asian ancestry feeling sad and powerless. But in latter years, while Laurier was Prime Minister, these deprived inside people spoke up for themselves and started to make a name for themselves.
That really is great, don't you think, buddy?
Well, yes, I do think so.
Oh. Must have been the wind. What a nice day we have here. Too bad my colleague isn't here to see it. Oh well, let me just continue. Around the 1900s, many women had a hard and arduous lives, since many of the inventions that we have come to know as everyday objects such as washing machines or drying machines, they did not have them back then. As well, these women had to take care of possibly 10 to 12 children on average each day. Now, that would be quite a lot. Wouldn't you agree, Dr. Drew Peacock? Dr. Drew Peacock, where are you? Ah! Jeez, you so scared me. Get up, old chap. Everything going well? No broken bones? Feel refreshed? Glad to hear it. Sure is bright out here today, Dr. Drew Peacock, wouldn't you say? Yeah. Quite a rhyme there. Found myself a poet at times. The campaign of women's suffrage was not actually a campaign supporting the suffering of women, but actually a campaign created in the Lorenthian era supporting the right for women to vote. You, my dear partner?
Thank you. Many of these people behind the campaign were middle-class people who blamed pretty much everything on alcohol. Many of these people were also part of the WCTU, the Women's Christians Temperance Union.
That's all for today, folks.
Also, around this time, many of the natives from their land was threatened by the government. This was because the government wanted to assimilate all of Canada, so that the land would be freed up for European settlers. The natives hoped that they could obtain their original land because of the Royal Proclamation of 1763, which viewed them as tribes allow them their own land.
My turn, is it? By 1910, there were more than 60 residential schools. Residential schools were run by Christians. These schools were very strict, and they disallowed any natives from practicing their religion, way of life, and the children were taken away from their homes and their families to go there. Quite sad.
Why, hello, folks. Now, because BC is more remote than many of the places of Canada, the natives kept their land in BC for a fair amount longer than many of natives in Canada.
You're going up.
This has been an enriching experience, and we'd like to thank you for sticking with us the whole way. We hope none of you have walked out of the classroom by now, but since we can't tell,
Probably Jeffrey if one day.
mhm.
This presentation has been brought to you by
Capital Connections.